Hello and welcome to your 6th Algebra 2 and Algebra and Trigonometry class. For this week as well, the videos for Algebra 2 and Algebra and Trigonometry are actually going to be one and the same. Next week, we should start separating the content so that the Algebra and Trigonometry class will be dealing with trigonometric functions and the Algebra 2 class will continue with its course. But for today, our topic is linear inequality. So let me briefly discuss with you guys what an inequality is. Now, an inequality is summarized by the sign, which means less than, greater than, less than or equal, and finally, greater than or equal. Now, inequalities, you guys have been seeing them since elementary school because, for example, if I were to say or remind you of maybe when you were in elementary school and your teacher would tell you, so which number is greater, 1 or 2? And you would say, well, 2 is greater, so you draw this sign of like a little mouth, piranha, or a gator or something, and your teacher would probably say, well, the mouth is going to always eat the larger number, right? And 2 would be greater than 1. But when we have an inequality, we always read it from left to right, and we say 1 is less than 2. So we say 1 is less than 2. Likewise, if you had this, and you were asked, which number is greater? You would say 7 is greater than 3, and you would write it like that. 7 is greater than 3. So those are inequalities. And then you came to middle school or high school, and then your teacher would say, well, what if I say this? Now you would still have to read it from left to right. You would say x is greater than 3, right? Because this sign means greater than. So we'd say x is greater than 3. Okay? Now, x is greater than 3 means that whatever number x is going to be a number larger than 3. So I'll say 7. 7 is greater than 3. So that means that x has to be any number greater than 3 without including 3, because if I say 3 is greater than 3, it wouldn't make any sense. And you would graph this function. You would graph this function by drawing a number line and just drawing an arrow kind of going this way. Now we would say that if the sign, or if the inequality did not say greater than or equal to, we would not shade in the point. But if we had something like x is greater than or equal to -1, then in that case, -1, this would basically telling me is that x is going to be any number greater than -1 or equal to -1, or basically any number from -1 to positive infinity, and you would shade in the point and you would do this, right? And then they would tell you how to add or subtract inequalities in one-step equations. So if I gave you an inequality like x plus 3 is greater than 4, you would have to find the value of x and then graph, right? And if this is a simple inequality like that, we would say, well, I subtract 3, and this cancels out, and x is going to be greater than 1, which means that my answer is going to be any number, or x is going to be any number larger than 1, and we would draw a number line, and this is where the 1 would be. And since it's not greater than or equal to, we wouldn't shade the point. Do this, right? And then you would get something like another one, which is like -5x is less than or equal to 25. And this you would solve just like you would solve an equation, right? That involved multiplication. You would divide everything by -5. And this would cancel out, right? And we take x. But there was a rule. And the rule stated that whenever I'm dividing or multiplying an inequality, if the number that has a variable is negative, that means that my inequality sign is going to change and it's going to be negative 5. And this means that x is going to be any number greater than negative 5, which means that you would draw your number line again, starting from negative 5, and it's greater than or equal to, so we'll say something like this, right? And they also did the same thing with multiplication, so if I have something like x over 7 is, or negative 7 is greater than, you know what? Yeah, greater than 3. So here you would have to multiply by negative 7, right? And this is just me reviewing, and this cancels out. And now, because I'm multiplying by negative 7 and negative 7 is down here, that means that my inequality is going to change, and it's going to look at the other side, and that would be negative 21. So basically, when I have something like this, it's saying that x is going to be any number smaller than negative 21, so you have to draw a number line, negative 21, negative 22. And again, you'd have to draw your arrow, but without a shaded point, and it would look like this. So those are 1, 2-step inequalities. Graphing inequalities is a very brief review. If you still feel like you need to review some more, you can pause and rewind the video. But I'm actually going to go straight into 2-step or multi-step inequalities. So let's say we have an inequality that says 25 minus 3x is less than or equal to 10. Or how do I do that? Or excuse me, not 10. There's a mistake here. It's actually 5. Pardon me. Okay, here we go. So I have 25 minus 5x is less than or equal to 10. And I want to find the value of x, and I want to graph my function. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to get rid of the 25. That's the first thing I'm going to do, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 25 on both sides, right? And this is going to cancel out. I bring down the negative 5x less than or equal to. And I subtract 10 minus 25, which is negative 15. And then I'm going to divide by negative 5. But remember the rule. If the number that I'm dividing by or multiplying by is negative, what's going to happen is that the inequality is going to change. So it's going to be negative 5x, or negative 5, excuse me, and negative 5. This is going to cancel out. My inequality is going to be now x is greater than, and negative 15 divided by 5 is 3. So we say that x is going to be greater than or equal to 3. And how do I graph that? Very simple. I graph that because the inequality sign is facing the x, and it's greater than or equal to. That means that x is going to be any number greater than or equal to 3. So I draw my number line, and let's say this is negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And since it's greater than or equal to, 3 is shaded, and I draw my ray moving to positive infinity for 3 to positive infinity. Now let's look very easy. Let's look at this one real quick. And we have an inequality with equation with variables on both sides. So it's really simple. The trick to this is to always keep your variables positive. So I have 13x plus 24 is less than or equal to 16 minus 3x. What you're going to do is first get rid of the 3x. And if it's minus 3x, I'm going to add 3x. Okay? And I'm going to add 3x on this side. So this is going to cancel out. 13 plus 3 is 16, so that means 16x plus 24 is less than or equal to 16. Now, I want to leave the x alone, so I'm going to move the 24, which means I'm going to subtract 24. And this is going to cancel out. And 16x is less than or equal to. And 16 minus 24 is negative 8, so negative 8. 16x is less than or equal to negative 8. I'm going to divide by 16, and all of a sudden you know you're going to get a fraction, so you're just going to say, I divide by 16, I divide by 16. This is going to cancel out. X is actually going to be, now here the inequality sign does not change because the 16 is positive. Had the 16 been negative, then I would have flipped the inequality over. So I'm going to leave my answer at x is less than or equal to. Now this is a fraction that I can reduce. If I divide each term by 8, and 8 divided by 8 is negative 1, and 16 divided by 8 is 2. So that means that my answer is x is less than or equal to negative 1/2. And if you graph that, what it's saying is that x is going to be any number smaller than negative 1/2. So I'm going to draw my number line here, and this is 0, and -1, and -2. Now -1/2 is actually between 0 and 1, and it's less than or equal to, which means I shade in the point. And then I simply draw my ray in this case, moving to the left side. And that's it for this video lesson, ladies and gentlemen. What you're going to do is, once you've seen this lesson, once you've rewinded and paused and gone over everything you need to go to, you're going to go to your math sharpeners and you're going to go to week 3, and you're only going to work on the exercises that are on day 5. So ladies and gentlemen, this is your favorite math teacher signing off. Stay safe, and we'll see each other soon. Bye.